that's when I was born. My family have been in Australia for over 100 years. My parents got married in the 1920s. They came here to Canberra for their honeymoon, and at that time, Asians weren't allowed to stay here permanently. Now, being classed as yellow peril meant that she couldn't stay here permanently, always on these little visas. And so they sent her. She was told us she was sent out of the country, and she was pregnant with my sister, that was number 3, and she went to New Zealand. The family, which started with my grandfather, had a business called Chuli and Company Providors, and it meant that we sold wholesale potatoes, onions, tobacco, and peanuts in the shell. My father roasted, and we were there till in the 30s, and then I can remember we moved to Good Street, Granville, not far from the railway station. We had a 2-story nice house to me. We had this funny telephone that went from upstairs to downstairs. You wound it, and we thought it was wonderful. And we had a fruit shop, and we always seemed to be living with uncles. There was about 3 uncles living with us, and we swapped with another relative, an uncle from Marrickville, the main road in Marrickville. It was a fruit shop. We swapped fruit shops. We moved to Marrickville, and we had a fruit shop on Marrickville Road, and there was mum, dad, and 7 children, and my grandmother, Paw, and she kept an eye on us. We used to get the knuckles on her head, and mum ran the fruit shop, so she was busy. When it was high school, we moved to Dulwich Hill. We were all excited. Mum said we're going to move and not have a fruit shop. We thought, good, we can live in a house. That first time, when I was about 13. Didn't take long for Mum to go walking up the street to say, how would it be if we had a Chinese restaurant in the area? And she asked the shopkeeper. They said, yeah. So she opened a Chinese restaurant called The Swan, and I worked there after school. In 1947, in the first year, I went to Dulwich Hill Domestic Home Science School, and everybody in that first year had to learn cooking and sewing. And then you decided if you want to do commercial. They called it commercial. And my girlfriend went on to commercial. That was typing. And I did sewing all through. All through school, primary and high school, I was aware that I was the only Chinese person at the school. But nobody ever came up to me and said anything to me. When we were in high school, we had chores, and we used to get 2 shillings. Mum used to do her books and give us a new threepenny piece, shiny one. She used to wrap them in newspaper, and she gave us 2 shillings, and that was for doing our chores, and we used that to go to the movies. And I used to go Saturday afternoon, and with my girlfriend Margaret, and do singing and all sorts, and it was so exciting. And then every so often I'd go to Hoyt's. As hard as Mum worked, every Saturday and Sunday, over the weekend quite often, my mother had mahjong and cards, and she used to feed the lot of us, 2 sittings, children of the people playing cards, and then the grown-ups. Making your debut was something girls did in that time when you were 16, 17. I turned 17 when I actually did I was making the dress when I was 16, and we had a partner, and we had to curtsy to the mayor of the city, someone like that, some dignitary, and it was exciting. We practiced dancing. For fun, my mother belonged to a Chinese club, and I belonged to the younger set of the same thing, and my girlfriend, and we went to, once a month I went to a dance in Clarence Street. I made a dress nearly every month, running it up to get to the dance, and a 3-piece band. And then every year we definitely did we went to more than 1 ball a year. The famous one was the Dragon Ball. I was on the float representing the Chinese community. All of us wearing, my sister and I too, Chong Sams. a cheongsam, people still wear them now, is the Chinese national dress. The Dragon Ball, a lot of our balls were at the Trocadero, which was in George Street, and they chopped it down and made it into the George Street picture show. When I was in my 20s, I was expected to marry into my own race, and that's how it was in those days. But I broke the mold. I met the family next door who were Lebanese, and I married my husband from that family, and we went on and had 4 children. Even though I was born of Asian parents, I was born here, and I really feel a true blue Aussie through and through. Fair income. Even though I'm born of Australian parents, turned off.